Hey guys, Tom61, and today it's the day the Missouri has arrived in my port for just a little while. So we're going to go ahead and give a review on it. If you're not familiar, Missouri, Iowa class battleship, probably one of the most famous Iowa class battleships because we'll get into the history of the vessel, but the only way to earn it in World of Warships Legends is to buy it in the Forge, which is where you use steel, that long time earn currency. Yeah, this is I think the only ship you can buy in there, and it costs 30,000 steel. It's a long term gain. I think steel has been out for about a year. I think 8 months, a year. I have 9.4 thousand. I was lucky enough to get this as a rental from Wargaming. I'm a CC, and they've given it to me for a week to review, and then it leaves my port. And I will be slightly sad to see it go, only for its historical value. I don't think this is a must own for its power levels, but we'll get into that. As usual, we're gonna go ahead and go over the stats, go over our build, go over the consumables, and just overall talk through this ship and then show off a game in her. So with all of that said, I think what we're going to do first is go through our build, and then we will talk everything else. So first things first, the commander we are running is none other than William Sims. I'm running Scharnhorst and Paulo de Revel. I know it's a little bit different than my usual Iowa build. We'll get into that in a little bit. Then his Sims base trait built to last. Then we're running Flammable Cannoneer, Gyrating Gilbrits, Marksmanship, Reaching Out XXL, and Will to Rebuild. If you don't have Scharnhorst, I think Cunningham is an excellent replacement for her. It's just in case if you don't have her. Next, let's go ahead and go on in to the upgrades of the ship. In the first slot, we're going to be running Secondary Battery Mark II. Then we're going to be running Steering Gears, then into Target Acquisition mod, and finally Artillery Plotting Room mod 2. Last thing, let's go ahead and talk through those consumables, because of course this is what makes Missouri so unique. Of course, we have the standard damage control party. You're going to have 20-second duration with a 80-second reload time. Repair party, you're going to gain 585 hit points per second. It's going to last 16.8 seconds. It's going to have a reload time of 80 seconds, and we're going to get 3 charges with it. And then what makes this thing unique, what makes Missouri so desirable, maybe, from a gameplay perspective, is the radar. So, very unique for a battleship to have a radar. This one is going to have a 9.5 detection radius, which is fairly on the shorter ranges when it comes to tier 7 radars, but it's still fairly effective and can be used to pretty good effect when you consider most concealment of destroyers is going to be in that 5 to 6 kilometer range. That gives you a good 3 to 4 kilometers that you can kind of catch destroyers out in. It's going to last for 35 seconds, and that's the main reason we went with de Revel, just so that you can in fact get 2 shots off with your main gun before you have before the radar runs out, which is very useful. Reload time on it 180 seconds, and it's going to have 2 consumables. Notably, you could also run enhanced secondary targeting. Notice how there is no planes. We do, I believe, still have the launching facilities on the back of the vessel, but you're kind of giving up those planes in order to get the radar. Just buyer beware on that one. So with all that said, let's start diving in to the stats. First things first, let's go ahead and look at those hit points. 67,660, which is less than the Iowa. My usual Iowa build has 72,660, so you're looking at a 5,000 HP deficit when talking there. Armor thickness, let's go ahead and take a look at the armor view overall. Armor thickness is between 6 and 439 millimeters. That bow armor is going to be the usual 32 millimeter bow. Deck armor is going to be 32 at the front and after the ship, with the midsection of it being 38, meaning that middle section is where you kind of want those shells to hit, assuming they don't hit the superstructure. As far as citadels go, well, it has the same as the Iowa, that beautiful under-the-water citadel that is only really going to expose itself at the worst moments, but usually stays fairly underneath the water and is fairly protected for you. Let's move on now into the main battery. So main battery, it's going to have three 3-barreled 406mm guns with firing range of 19.3 kilometers, which is interesting, about half a kilometer less range than the Iowa. Reload time 28.8 seconds, giving you 18.75 rounds per minute. Just consider it 2 salvos. 180 time is going to be 32.7 with a 5,700 damage for HE, giving you 102,600 damage per minute when firing HE. You have a 36% chance to set fire with each shell. AP damage 14,850, which again slightly higher than Iowa on this one, about 400 damage per shell higher, which is a nice little bump, giving you 267,300 damage per minute when firing AP. Secondary is going to have 10 2-barreled 127mm guns for the secondaries. They're going to have a range of 6 kilometers, reload time of 6 seconds, and going to do 1,800 damage with a 5% chance to set fires. Missouri and Iowa, neither of them have torpedoes, so we don't really have to worry about that. AA range, 5 kilometers with 151 minimum damage and 646 max damage. Max speed of the vessel, 27 knots, 0.8 knots slower than the Iowa. Kind of interesting there. Turning radius identical, 920 millimeters, with a rudder shift time of 16.5, 0.1 seconds slower than Iowa. Once again, little things here and there that they trade off on. It's kind of interesting. And then concealment detectability by sea, 14.7 kilometers, 12.3 kilometer, or by sea is 14.7 kilometers, by air is 12.3 kilometers, and detectability when firing in smoke is going to be 14.9 kilometers. And that's all of the stats of Missouri. A very unique and storied vessel. I think the biggest thing to remember is this ship is probably one of the most famous ships, because this is the ship that that the end of World War II essentially happened on. This is the ship that sailed into Tokyo Harbor, that had those Japanese dignitaries on board to sign the final surrender papers. Like this is like the ship for historical reasons, and one that if you really like the history and you're a collector is probably why you really want this ship. So that's all of that. Let's go ahead now and talk through a game, and I'll give also my thoughts and opinions on the Missouri overall. So here we are on Land of Fire. We got the middle spawn, so we're gonna kind of let this play out, see what way and what spawned directly across. Land of Fire has an interesting thing where when you're in this middle spawn, you can either sometimes catch the enemy out, because if they're doing like I am doing right now, and they're full broadside, you have a fairly good shot and access to their citadels. So we just kind of want to see what pops up. We can see there is in fact fire coming from over there. We also do see that some of the spawns off on the left-hand side are in range, such as that Turpitz overall. Now, as far as Missouri goes, in what I think, is it worth the 30,000 steel? Yes, because there's nothing else in the forge that's really worth steel. Like, I don't know what else you would really want to spend your hard-earned steel on. Now, should it take as long as it does for the average player? Probably not, but I do think this is a bragging rights ship, right? I think probably overall, I think I prefer Iowa in a out-and-out battle. If I had to choose one of them to take out, the Missouri is fun to as a prestige piece, right? Today I had multiple people send me messages of, oh, someone has the Missouri. Aren't you fancy? Ooh la la, Mr. Show-Off over here. And you're just like, okay, like, players recognize the significance of earning through this, and it's nice to take out for that reason. But I think as more players earn it, we'll start to see it more and more, and it will become less of this coveted ship that we see. Now, me personally, I probably have another year and a half, 2 years until I will ever be able to re-add the Missouri to my port, assuming that that is the way that things continue. If steel earn rates maintain their current velocity. And you know what? That's okay. Being able to play the ship for this little bit of time has been fun. The radar, I used it a couple of matches. It really is one of those things that when you need it, it's really cool to have. Would I prefer it over having a spotting plane or air fighter? Actually, probably yes. Like, as far as utility goes, I think the radar is one thing that is far more useful in utility than over the spotting plane, just because Iowa slash Missouri tend to be accurate chips to begin with, right? And we already have a pretty well accuracy and dispersion build kind of built in to this vessel. So do we need to bump it again? Maybe. I mean, yeah, you look at these shots and sometimes they go kind of wonky and you're like, okay, maybe I could have used a spotter plane, but you use that, what, 2-3 times a match? But radar is one of those things where, yeah, we only have 2 charges of it, but when you need it, you need it. And the way we have this built to give us 2 rounds, 2 salvos into an aggressor, I think it is very useful. Whether it is a British ship hiding in smoke, or or a Kutuzov that's deciding to hide in smoke, or the more common thing, a destroyer that gets caught out, or the other more useful thing, other than just the telltale destroyer popping smoke, the one thing I did get a pretty good usefulness out of it. The one thing where the utility really came in handy for me was when that destroyer player overextends and then gets spotted for just that little second, right? Just a little, where they like made that torpedo run and they got just that 0.1 kilometer too close and they got spotted. Well, now you have the ability to go, okay, you came in too close. They were disciplined enough not to fire their guns when they got too close, but guess what? I'm a Missouri. I have a radar. This is my unique bag of tricks. Let me go ahead, flip over, fire up that radar. Hopefully I have shells in the barrels. Fire off probably the AP that's loaded, and then switch over to HE and get a pretty good strike in with HE. That is a very powerful tool to have, and one that can absolutely flip a battle, especially if you have teammates that are on the ball, that are ready to shoot that destroyer when he pops up. Now, your quality of teammates may vary because we're in tier 7 matches, and we know how sometimes you don't get the best teammates in tier 7 matches, but overall, the vast majority of the time, that's what you can look forward to with the Missouri compared to the Iowa. Now, it does have that nice bit of extra damage, not much, but it is nice. It does have those slightly other less minuscule hit points, less a slightly slower turning radius, a slight like little tweaks here and there. I think the thing that hurts the most is going to be that 5,000 less hit points, because that is the thing that really feels noticeable when all is said and done. 5,000 hit points. That is either a decent head-on salvo from another battleship, or it's a good salvo from like a cruiser, or it's the difference between those torpedoes at the end of the match sinking you or you staying up. Like there is significant 5,000 hit points is a good chunk of hit points that you can go ahead and really rely on. But hey, that's what it is. Anyways, we hit 2 citadels on the Amagi beforehand, doing a pretty good job of knocking down its hit points, and we are now going to finish it off with another citadel there. Their team has pretty much collapsed. We did very much play kind of the middle here, try to draw a fire when we could. This battalion of Russian cruisers has been somewhat annoying. They did a very good job of keeping people's eyes, but now we do very much have kind of open season to push on through. We got Peter Bagration backing in, trying to get cover on that island. We're going to go ahead and fire our salvo going out, and let's see how we do. Two overpens. Not too exciting. I think we do get a pretty good hit on either the Ochakov or the Peter coming up here. But yeah, overall, Missouri, is it worth it? Yes, but that's because I don't think there's anything else in the forge right now available for steel that is like appealing, right? if you're a high enough player, if you're a high enough level player to have accrued the 30,000 steel, I think the promotion orders that you could buy, or the iced camos, if you missed out on earning those for free, I don't think those are big enough rewards to justify and merit you going out and burning that 30,000 steel, which we know is a very hard thing to accomplish and do. Now, do we know if there's going to be another Missouri coming out, another full steel ship? No, we don't. But given where it is right now, I'd feel very confident in buying Missouri, and just going out and enjoying it, because if you've gotten 30,000 steel right now, good for you. You're incredible. You are way more dedicated to this game than I will ever be. I'm first one to go ahead and say that, because to get that kind of steel, not only would you be one who has to buy out all of the campaigns, which is a lot of money, but you also need to have kind of been at the top of every arena and going through and max ranking out in rank. Like, you are committed to this game in a way, I'll be honest, I'm not. And good on you if you've gone ahead and ranked up that much steel right now. Do I hope that they bring more ships in for steel? No and yes. Like, it is a permanent currency that they've added. Did I think Missouri would be earned this soon? No. Am I happy it's starting to be seen out there? Yeah. Do I wish it could have a different path to be earned? Kinda, because I'm someone who enjoys the history, and this ship, it deserves to be in people's port. But yeah, there we go. Anyways, you can see we went ahead and got that Petrogration off the map, kind of helped out with the Ochakov, and now we have just one battleship remaining. It's a Tirpitz, which means we need to be a little bit on our toes, because there's an island between us, and he has torpedoes, so we need to be ready to kind of engage him. We can see he's somewhat nose in. We'll go ahead and fire our front batteries, and this is where I'm starting to do the calculation of, okay, how do I want to play this? Because, well, he has torpedoes, so it is much more beneficial for him to close the distance on us. And this is where I'm like, okay, we're gonna go ahead and full stop, and try to get on out here. And then we can see Tirpitz is deciding to go full broadside on us. Can't tell if this is a torpedo maneuver or I want to get all four of my barrels on target maneuver. Either way, we'll happily take that beautiful opening, take a good chunk out of him. He probably learned his lesson on that one, because we took the majority of the health that was remaining for him. But he goes ahead, closes up that angle again. We're still fairly decently angled, but he is starting to get a little bit more uncomfortably angled, and we don't have all of the hit points in the world to deal with. But he decides that opening up all the way is a bright idea again, and it isn't. It's going to go ahead and end him. And guys, that's the Missouri. Like I said, if you have the steel, go buy it. It's a fantastic ship. If you don't worry about it. Iowa, they are pretty evenly matched. Just that radar is kind of fun to have, but not game breaking. Guys, if you like the video, go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. See ya.